Hello, I'm Pro A007, and this is a SGDQ 2018 speedrun submission for Syphon Filter, a third-person shooter released for the PlayStation in 1999. This is an any percent speedrun with the goal of beating the game in 1 hour, 20 minutes. I am playing on a PlayStation 2 using a PS1 copy of the game. So, without further ado, let's begin. So Syphon Filter is a kind of a hybrid of popular shooters like GoldenEye, Half-Life, Metal Gear Solid, which were released before this one, as well as a bit of Tomb Raider thrown in for good measure. Gabe can roll, climb onto things, crouch, strafe, everything essentially except jump. So, and we'll be using all of those throughout the run. Now, this first mission here is just really about kind of getting adjusted to the game style, which is a little different than what you would normally see. So the first objective here is to save the CBDC agent from the terrorists. All I have to do is take out 3 terrorists, and that'll be enough. I ended up taking out 4 there, but it worked out fine because of the AI pattern. So what you may have seen me do is use the target to hone in on a particular enemy, which is useful in certain circumstances. Instead of, having to move the camera around, move your player around, you can just point and, help zero in on a particular target. It can be problematic in spots, particularly with automatic weapons in close quarters. The game sometimes has a really hard time recognizing what you want it to do, and ends up making its own decision, and it often isn't a good one. There goes Kravitch and his comm equipment.
But I don't see their uplink dish.
I'll trace it.
So that went fine. I'm going to try and attempt the interaction skip here without burning through all my ammo. Okay, so the idea, what I'm trying to do here is shoot and interact with the switch at the same time. If I do it correctly, the animation of Gabe pulling the switch will be overwritten, and we can just go on with the rest of the mission. Like that. And every time I do that successfully, I save about 2 seconds. But yeah, 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. And when you do it 40 times like you do in this game, that time really adds up. There's also a kneeling skip that I'm going to attempt in about a minute here. Okay. Get past that guard just fine. So, yeah, the interaction skip is a major part of Syphon Filter 1. Less so in 2 and 3. There are less things you have to interact with. It comes in handy for sure, but it is extremely important in SF1. So that kneeling interaction skip is basically me crouch walking towards an object and then pressing the triangle button. And that interaction animation you saw is about 1 second faster than the traditional animation, which involves Gabe dropping to one knee and then pulling the switch. Didn't get the interaction skip there. It's unfortunate. I'm making good time though. So the rest of this level is me just staying by the pillars and running to the exit to the end as fast as I can. There's going to be a guard throwing grenades. If I stay by the pillars, when he throws the grenade, it won't hit the wall in the middle, which would be disastrous. It would likely end the mission.
I'm setting a beacon. Wait.
So 431, that's not bad. So this second level here, I'm going to do a fire skip where I'm going to roll through the fire and basically do a shortcut through about 30 seconds of this level. Like so. It's not too hard, but you really need to have a two-handed weapon, like a shotgun or an M16, to make it work. You could do it with a pistol, you're just going to take a lot more damage. Instead of me having about 25% armor, I'd probably have burned through all of my armor and a fair amount of my health in the process. Okay, this is what we call the leap of faith. Overshot my adjustment moving the camera, so I just had to center it up a little. It's not that hard. It's you just want to make sure your camera is in a good perspective so that when you do make it, you're not accidentally running against something on the way down, because that means you're probably going to die. So that interaction skip with the gas mains is surprisingly tricky because you don't have a lot of room to maneuver, and the gas mains kind of stick out a bit. Got the door interaction skip. So here I'm going to protect yet another CBDC agent while he defuses the bomb. I only have to take out 2 guards in this case, though. A little odd, but that worked out. So from here, it's just basically I'm running into the main subway line from here. It's interesting that a lot of what you thought was mandatory in this game isn't. Like normally, you think you're supposed to shoot that guard, and then before he runs into you, and then you turn around and deal with a couple more terrorists. But turns out, no, you really don't have to.
I've spotted Mara Aramov in the.
So coming up is a sort of a pseudo boss fight where my only objective is to shoot Mara Aramov in the head. So I'm gonna round the corner. Missed her. So I'm gonna go for the backup strat. So run under that pillar and shoot her there. So I burn. It's about a 4-second difference between a quick headshot and not. The main difference is losing M16 ammo, and you really want to keep as much of that as you can for this mission now, Washington Park.
Leon, I'm on my way to the park.
I've set the pickup frequency for your...
Check.
So this mission is really divided into 2 sections. The first section involves protecting CBDC agents as they defuse 4 bombs. Most of them are not that difficult. The only one that's really going to be a challenge is the second one. This one here is really simple. There are going to be guards coming up straight ahead and then one to my left. There goes that guy. Okay, there he is. Usually he tries to run past me and goes after the CBDC agent. Instead, he seemed to be more interested in me, which is fine. I still took care of him. So the second bomb that I'm going to try and help the soldier defuse is difficult because I'm protecting him through a 360-degree point of view viewpoint, basically. So I could have enemy terrorists coming at me from any and all directions, and they will. So it really helps to have M16 ammo here, but I have less than a full clip, so I'm going to use the 45 here. See, the targeting system really comes in handy here. I have to take out 6 terrorists. That's 6. I'm going to take out that 7th guy because he happens to be running in the same direction I'm going, so it works out. This third bomb isn't too hard, just so long as you stay close to the pillar, you're fine.
SGDQ has the signal. They're
Because
on
the
their
guards
way.
are really only
Stand
going to come
by.
at you from 2 directions.
Cover me.
I already see one of them. So the 5 guards are all I have to do here. Okay. Just got to be sure, because as it was in the first mission, if you go too far, the game will likely say you failed to complete your objective. Even though you really kind of did, the game
CBDC has the signal.
doesn't know
They're
how
on
to,
their way.
doesn't
Stand
understand
by.
that.
Cover me.
So this time it's 6 more. It's 6 more guards. It's 6, and that's it.
All clear, Gabe.
So that actually went pretty well. So here I need to use the silenced weapon while dealing with these 2 terrorists who are holding 2 CBDC agents hostage. Oh. Okay. Lost my bearings slightly for a second.
Right.
Got to be careful. It's really one shot. If you miss, the mission's over, because he will hear the shot, silenced or not, and execute his 2 hostages. So normally you would take these guards head on. I'm just going to ignore them. There's really no point in fighting them. And that's something I'm going to try to do throughout the run, is if I don't have to get into a gunfight with these guys, I'm going to avoid it. Easier said than done, but it really does play a major role in a few missions. Like, that's the one thing with speed running a Syphon filter, is in some levels ammo is at a premium, and you have to be very selective in when you choose to fight. Here it's not so bad. The first warehouse mission later on, for example, that it is a big deal. You've got to be very careful, because if you get yourself into a bad ammo count situation, you're probably going to box yourself in or make life really difficult for you in later levels, because you don't have the right kind of arsenal to deal with some of the tougher guards.
Hurry, Gabe. You don't have much time.
So now we come to the first boss of the game, Anton Gurdu.
Anton Gurdu. I hope Romer's paying you enough to die.
Gabe, your dude's wearing
This is
full
pretty.
body-
This is a pretty simple boss fight, though. 3 shotguns to that fuel tank in the back.
You can't.
Just got to make sure his iframes are off, and you're done.
Gabe, are you all right?
He's finished.
That level almost always takes 32 to 34 seconds. If it takes longer, you mess something up.
We've analyzed blood taken from Romer's
So now we come to the Farcom levels.
Sagan's heading for the
We're going to
second.
attempt the world famous Fagin skip here, where I'm going to try and get ahead of Fagin as he heads to a meeting spot, so I don't have to spend all my time following him around. Starts. Okay, got a good position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, he's down. Okay, should be clear. Yes, okay, good. So basically, I wait for that guard to move 5 times on the radar, take out the one that I was aiming at, then slip past Fagin in the Stonehenge because he won't have rounded the corner from the other side yet.
What are you doing
Then
here?
sneak past that one guard and then just take care of the last three.
Gabe, Fagan's run for it. Romer and Aramov went after him.
Credit to JY,
He's
who
finished.
a
Right.
former world record holder and really sort of the architect behind the Syphon filter speed runs as they exist today. He was the one who really perfected the sort of route and the timing for making that skip possible. He's the one who really broke his head trying to figure that one out. And now it seems simple, but you know, it's really predicated on movement on the radar screen for that first guard. That's the key. And then, you know, getting through the Stonehenge area without being seen. It's a little precise, but if you use a two-handed weapon like the sniper rifle, it's a lot easier making that roll through the column than it would be otherwise. So, Valkyrie, the current world record holder, actually has been working on making the last two guard kills faster. And I kind of did a variation of it. Wow. Usually did. Thought I had him. However many guards appear here is kind of random. Today it was 2. But yeah, so Valkyrie has done a really good job at you know, seeing what how to make that last section a little faster, and he's probably shaved about 6 or 7 seconds off the timer as a result. But basically, once you're past the Stonehenge area, you're basically home free so long as you don't get spotted. So after taking out Benton, who can be a challenge in of himself, well, after that, the rest of the level is pretty basic. It's just it's all about grabbing key cards from enemy guards and working your way to the security room. So, if accepted by your fine organization, this is a good spot to do donations because the rest of this level is pretty basic. There's really nothing too challenging about it. The only other really notable thing about this level is guards start wearing flak jackets with more frequency. They aren't a serious threat, though. Though they are more accurate than they were in the first section of the game, so you do have to take some care, but the corridors are big enough in this level to where it's not really going to make much of a difference. Also say about Benton is, you saw what I did there was a sort of a quick sniping shot from around the corner using the strafe ability to get him before he started moving. If he moves, it turns into a run-and-gun battle, and he's very accurate and very dangerous for an opponent this early in the game. So it's really critical that you get a quick headshot on him, because he will run all over the Egyptian room, and he will cause all sorts of problems for you if you let him. If you're lucky, he'll box himself into a corner and you can sort of get him from there, but it wastes a lot of time. So this gun here is the K3G4, which is the best gun in the game. It cuts through flak jackets with almost no difficulty, and it is a very useful gun. Unfortunately, it appears very sparsely. No guards actually carry it. So you can only get them from ammo crates, and the ammo crates
The entrance to the dinosaur exhibit.
appear only periodically, and they're often in sort of out-of-the-way locations. But its usefulness throughout the game, particularly late, cannot be overstated. Here, most of the guards are wearing flak jackets,
You're on top of the
and it
lobby
just
now.
makes sense to use this weapon because it's so fast. This level itself only takes about 2 minutes. 2 minutes to 2 minutes and 10 seconds, depending on AI patterns at the end, but overall, it's pretty simple. It also has the first and last use of the world-famous air taser. I think if people still remember Syphon Filter almost 20 years later, it's because of the taser and how it could electrocute and set enemies on fire. Well, unfortunately, there will be none of that in this run. I only used the taser once, and that's to stun Mara. Sorry. So here I'm going to do some AI manipulation. I'm going to get around. I'm going to just ignore these guards who are going to run away from me, actually. I'm going to take care of this guy. Now, normally, if I shot those two down before I opened the gate, they would be replaced by two guards who would try and ambush me from behind. If I don't do that, they run away, and those guards don't reappear, and I can just move on to this section. There's the air taser.
Yes. Now to get some answers.
So that jump up to the railing is a little tricky sometimes. I'm taking an extreme amount of damage, but it's basically if you, at the base of the dinosaur's neck is where you can roll.
Leon, send in an evac. We'll have to patch her up before we can get any information out of her.
Copy. On
The
their way.
damage notwithstanding, that was very good. So now that's 2 sections of the game down. So now we go on to Romer's base. And this level is a little tricky because it's a quasi-stealth level. The game is kind of encouraging you to do this stealthily. We are not going to do that here. I'm going to go ahead and let the alarm go off. Now that means I'm going to be dealing with a unlimited amount of guards throughout the level. That said, it is still faster to deal with these guards and work my way through the base instead of having to sneak around. Though I have experimented with an idea that maybe it's a little faster overall to sneak through until I get to the third fuel tank and then to set off the alarms. But overall, I think it probably is maybe a few seconds slower overall. And I don't get the benefit of the shotgun as I did here because the shotgun in stealth mode is protected by a searchlight. So there's no way I can get to it. Not without setting off the alarm. At that stage, I don't want to. So now we've got the 5 explosives planted. I've still got to put the explosives on the last 2, take out Gabrick, and turn off the power to the motion sensors. Tall order. Oh, almost got a quick shot on Gabrick. Take a chance here. Okay. I'm going to do a checkpoint reset, which is going to reset the enemy positions to their original location. So when I come back here, it's all done. It's all set and fine. So I took a little too much damage there taking out Gabrick, but it's okay. It's really the only concerning spot is maybe at the end. Because I'm going to have to deal with 3 guards in close quarters, or more accurately, avoid 3 guards in close quarters.
Motion sensors. I'm heading over to the bunkers now.
So this is where the shotgun comes in handy.
That's the last explosive. I'll trigger the timer once I'm on the roof and have disabled their radar.
Take out those 3 terrorists, 1 shot each, and those 2 behind them. And pick up another 50 rounds of PK-102 ammo, which will come in handy in the bunker level. Ammo management, you kind of have to think a little ahead. You have to think about where you're going to be and how much ammo you think you're going to expend in the next couple of levels. Sometimes you get ammo crates to sort of bail you out in certain situations, but for example, for what I'm going to be dealing with up ahead here, it's really important that I keep my ammo management decent. Okay, I got through. So that reset cost me about 4 or 5 seconds, but overall that was a good level. It was very good.
Leon.
Now this, I'm going to turn off the lasers, then grab my flak jacket, because as you just saw, I took some damage there from a guard firing a shotgun at me. Boy, I wish I could shoot. So this level is where the interaction skip really comes in handy. And that's another reason why I'd have a decent stockpile of PK-102 ammo on hand, because you don't want to keep cycling through weapons. Because unlike in the following Syphon filter games, it takes a couple of seconds for you to cycle through your weapons. Nice to see the terrorists do my job for me and shooting out that laser. So I didn't take any damage. I took one hit, but that's hardly gonna matter. The other thing to note with the interaction skip is you have to do it. You can only do it when your machine gun is in a ready-to-fire position. If you do it while he's running and the gun's swinging from side to side, it's not going to work. You have to have your PK-102 or M16 or whatever in a ready-to-fire position. So the interaction skip, yeah, you do a lot of interaction skips here. Okay, I'm just playing it safe here. I don't want that to deal with that guy. And it's dimly possible he could set off the missiles, but that would have to take a lot. They'd have to take a lot of damage for that to happen. The odds of that are extremely remote, at best. You can also use the interaction skip if your gun doesn't have any ammo. Actually, in some respects, it's almost a little easier.
Leon, I found the elevator to the roof. Get ready to dust off.
Gabe, the force is crawling with patrols.
So that went well. Now we come to the second boss fight of the game, the helicopter.
Leon, I'm on the roof.
Now,
Right.
I've been working on trying to figure out a way to make this this fight a little easier. Basically, it's about damage manipulation. Damage the chopper in certain stages. Okay, so he's coming from the far side today. Which is fine. You gotta hit the front of the chopper, basically, to really inflict serious damage. I think I did too much damage there, because he's now going to disappear and he's going to try and hover over the arena and just start firing away. The good news is I can do a lot of damage while the chopper is doing this. The problem is if I don't get rid of it right away, and I did. Wow. If I didn't, then he would have circled around and I'd had to deal with 2 enemy guards, and the hitboxes for those enemy guards is surprisingly bad. But it worked out, so I'm very pleased with that. So the last mission in this section is just basically run to the exit as fast as you can. So I'm going to do a little bit of AI manipulation here, because the game is only capable of handling 4 enemy sprites on screen at any given time. Yeah, it could handle more, but the game will try whenever possible to stay to 4, because the game otherwise just can't handle it for whatever reason. So there is a way to turn the tables in that respect, but it's going to depend on my patterns here. Okay, got one guard. That's good. Usually it's two that come and try to ambush me up front. So got one guard there, one guard behind the fuel canisters. So if I did this right, there's going to be two guards coming down the stairs, and there are. So that means I'm basically going to have a free pass when I go over this ledge here. If there were only three, I would have had to deal with a shotgun toting guard the minute I stepped off. He's down. Probably could have run past him, but I didn't want to chance it. So now we've come to, we're at level 12 of 20.
My God.
This is where the run
Syphon
really
filter.
begins. This is where
One more
everything
thing.
really kind of hits into overdrive. So, and we got 9 levels to go, but they comprise about 60% of this run in terms of time. 60 to 66%. So basically everything you saw was the prologue. Okay, so the mission objectives here are to kill scientists and save the
Found the
patients.
first group of patients.
That's all
Check.
there is to this level and the one following it. Hence my labels for the levels. By themselves, they aren't especially difficult, especially once you know the route. But you do have to be careful in a few spots because trying to stay at full health is really key in a few spots because you're still dealing with tight quarters, and these guards are fairly accurate, especially the scientists who are carrying 45 pistols. 45 is the most powerful handgun in the game, and it will do serious amounts of damage. But yeah, that's the one nice thing is there is no RNG to this in terms of scientist or test patient location. It's always the same. The scientist's behavior can be a bit random, so you have to factor in for that, but it's unlikely anything they do is going to be seriously detrimental to you. So long as you don't make unforced errors, you'll be fine. Now let's see if this gas grenade actually goes off. It didn't in an earlier run. I'm very puzzled by that. Okay, got him. Just got to be careful you don't get caught in the gas grenade blast because that's an instant death. And in this case, that would cost you about 90 seconds. Death is not particularly forgiving in Syphon Filter. Oftentimes, any death you take is anywhere from a 30-second to 2-minute loss. Checkpoints are not nearly as plentiful as they would become in SF2 and 3. In SF2, though, you know, SF2 is already insanely difficult, so you know, careful what you wish for. But it's a little more bunched together here, especially in levels like this. The checkpoints are very spread out, so it's extremely important that you be careful whenever possible and don't get yourself caught. Just gonna wait for him to just run past rather than try and chase him. See how this one scientist behaves. He can run or he'll just stay there. Stay in his normal position. That's not good. Okay, I'm gonna have to take care of this guy first. Normally, the ideal pattern is to have that scientist just stay where he is. Okay, I'm just gonna play it safe here and just what I normally would like to do is take out save the patient and then double back and run before these guards have come up the stairs. That wasn't possible since I had to deal with the scientist first. I figured I'd rather just play it safe. So that probably cost me about 5 seconds overall. But it's worth it because now I've got another checkpoint. So now we come to the library, and this involves a little AI manipulation here. I'm going to try and get 4 sprites on the screen, but it's going to actually end up with me sounding the alarm a little. Okay. It's not a good idea to provoke the guards, but in this case it works out because I'm trying to limit the number of sprites. I'm trying to get to a certain number of enemy sprites on screen. Of course, I didn't quite get it the way I'd like because what I'm hoping to do is 4 enemy guards appear in the library. I run past them and avoid them and all that. And then when I go through this window, I only have to deal with the 1 guard on the bridge. In this case, though, I'm going to have to deal with 2. And it's not a big deal, but you almost certainly are going to take some damage, and it overall I think is a little slower by maybe a second, second and a half. Okay. Normally that second guard does not appear, so not a deal breaker. He's got a flak jacket. We'll happily take that, and there's going to be another flak jacket coming from the scientist in a second. So, if I picked up the K3G4 in one of the other windows earlier, I probably would have used it on the scientist there. So he's got a really tiny hitbox for a headshot by the box. I think the box's pixels are partly protecting him a little, but it's not a big thing. So, one more scientist, and then it's onto the elevator. And there are guards behind me, but I'm just going to ignore them. There's no point in getting into a fight with them. So yeah, basically after that last scientist, it's another good time for donations because the rest of this level is really simple. So, a little about me. I've been playing Syphon Filter since basically the day it came out in 1999. I've been playing video games for over 25 years. I've been playing since the NES days and straight on through to today with the Switch and PS4 primarily. Big fan of gaming in general. I'm a big fan of the Syphon Filter franchise. Yes, I do enjoy a good action game. And it's always been fun. I've had the world record in SF1 and SF3 at various stages. I no longer do. Valkyrie Hrist actually has the world record for the entire trilogy now. As you see, his world record is 106.47, and he's a very good runner out of Spain. He's very, very good, and he's been very helpful. He's shared some ideas with me, and I've shared a few with him. So, anyway, so that scientist, I was trying to lure him out by shooting and getting his attention. If you don't shoot, he won't come out. But I didn't want the guard on the other side of that corridor to come out. I don't want to deal with him just yet, because I want to see if I can get a situation where there's no guards here. Good. Normally, this is AI manipulation. If there are 3 guards on the radar screen, by definition, there should not be 1 over there. Fortunately, that scientist is a troll, but it worked out pretty well. The only nice thing about if there is a guard at the top of the stairs, he has the G18, and that'll come in handy later. So I have to watch my ammo a little. But it should be okay. So yeah, this level is basically a rerun of the first. Save the test patients and kill the scientists. There's only 1 more test patient though, and he's about 30 seconds away. So I'm going to use... There's a scientist that will spawn here as I come down the stairs. if I went up the stairs, he would spawn from the same spot. So since I'm going the reverse direction, it just makes sense to just throw a grenade and get him at the spawn point. Save myself a little aggravation.
I think I know how they've been moving the virus. Check.
So that was kind of a pseudo interaction skip. He's doing the motion of giving the injection, but not really. And the ideal pattern is he just starts moving instead of freezing for about a second. And it's still faster than him, stopping to actually give the injection by about a second. But ideally, you'd like it to be just one fluid motion if you can. Okay, this is the second to last. Whoa. I've seen that happen, but not in that spot. That's interesting. I think I'm gonna go for a headshot. I took more damage from the guard behind me because I got a little delayed taking out the guy on the bridge here. So normally I would just use the target button and just empty an entire G18 clip into him. But in that case it didn't work out, so I just adjusted ever so slightly. Probably should use 45 there, but whatever. Got plenty of silence 9mm ammo for what's up ahead. That scientist can be a little tricky sometimes because he's, depending on how he reacts, he'll start shooting at you or he'll start running at you. And if he starts running at you, you don't have a lot of time to react because it's very tight quarters. There he goes. Just 3 more scientists. This is the last one with a key card. Now at the end of this corridor there could be anywhere from 0 to 2 guards, and today it's 2 guards. I'm just going to ignore them. So I don't need their ammo, and I don't really need to get into a firefight with them if I don't have to. There shouldn't be any guards waiting for me as I come through this door, and there isn't. If there was, there'd be a guard with the G18. But since I don't need G18 ammo, I'm pretty well stocked on that for the time being. There might be a guard around the corner. Nope, no guard around the corner. "50-50" on that guard being on the railing there. If he is, he is. If he isn't, it's not a big deal. Just don't fall off. For the love of God, do not fall off. That's about a 45-second time loss if you do. Especially with the checkpoint oh so close. So another good spot for donations, because basically all I'm doing is working my way to the Rose Chapel and down into the catacombs. There's really nothing to this spot. It's just a couple of guards and a scientist. I've tried rolling past that guard. That guard on the left, but more often than not, I find he ends up blocking my progress, and then suddenly I'm in a gunfight with these two. And the one on the left actually throws grenades if you if you give away your presence early. So it's better to just take care of him and just move on, because any G18 ammo I use here is going to be compensated for in the next level. So now we come to the infamous Catacombs level. I hate it, you hate it, your brother who's never played this hates it.
Roma has ordered the
All of Romer's underground
This level has become somewhat infamous for its difficulty. The good news is there are ways to make this less onerous and painful. I've been working on trying to find some ways to make the AI a little less difficult, and there are a couple of strats for the end that make it faster. But unfortunately, none of that makes this opening section go any faster. This is still a 2.5-minute time sink and perfect for donations. Perhaps them sarcastically talking about how much they hate this level, because this level is quite infamous, and it deservedly so. It is pretty monotonous because it's basically it's basically broken into 3 chunks. Follow the scientist, follow Fagin, follow Leon. And this first section is pure stealth, which by itself is not so bad. There's only 4 or 5 guards to take out. The main thing is just not to get seen. Other than that, it's pretty easy. But again, it's boring. Fagin is the real problem. The second part of this. It's the longest of the 3 parts. And the problem with Fagin is his AI is mangled or something, because he will do very weird things, or he'll allow himself to get caught into dumb situations, and really all you can do is just get him out of those problems and hope they don't happen again. It's like dealing with a toddler, really. No guard. That's very interesting and very unusual. There's usually a guard walking in the opposite direction of the scientist, and to not get the guard only happens maybe 5% of the time, I think. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to manipulate the situation so he never appears, because I'd just rather not have to deal with him. That said, I'm working on it, but I haven't found an answer. Maybe it's just pure RNG, but I really hope it wasn't. Yeah. Just hoping to get that guy. Now the key to Fagin is never, ever, 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 ever run directly in front of him, because he will stop dead in his tracks. And you want to minimize him stopping for any reason as much as possible. Easier said than done. And sometimes he'll just randomly get, accosted by a guard, and you have to free him. But the key is to keep moving but also keep Fagin close enough in your radar screen to where he will not abruptly stop. So, see, he's kind of doing a little crouch walk. Okay, I'm gonna slide past Fagin here, take out this guard. He's not a scientist; he's a monk, or a guy pretending to be a monk. 1 guard down here. That's good. I'm going to shoot this guy using the K3G4. Okay. So Fagin is very peculiar behavior, and all you can do is not make it worse. There's really no way to make it better, because he's still going to find a way to screw you up. All you can do is just roll with it and try to make it as painless as humanly possible. Now these guards up ahead, none of them have flak jackets, so it's perfect for the G18. Wow, I thought he had already bitten it after. Okay, there's our first situation with. Okay, they're done. So Fagin allowed himself to get captured or whatever, and so I have to save him. Because he's useless. It's a good idea to stop every now and then. Yep, another sign. If he's not moving after a few seconds, it's a good bet that somebody is holding him hostage. I'm gonna take care of him. Boy, this turned into a firefight. Fagin, what are you doing? So I burned through more K3G4 ammo than I would have liked, but it should be okay, because it really only matters for this section up ahead. That actually sort of explain why close quarters and using the targeting button can be a little problematic. Okay, so now I'm going to do something pretty despicable here.
That's her cell. You're on your own now.
Let's
I'm
get
going
out
to
of
shoot Leon in the legs.
Here. Are you crazy? Oh.
Basically what this does is it allows her to run, because normally she'll stop and deal with these enemy terrorists, but if she's wounded, she's just going to run through it, and she's not going to stop. So my only thing is to just stay behind her, not get in front, not get too far in front of her, or if I do, just don't run in front of her, just don't run in her directly in her path, and let her do the rest. So it's kind of a proximity thing. So long as I stay close enough to her, she'll keep running, and I can just keep following. But Gabe runs a little faster than Leon, so you just got to be a little careful. So hugging the walls is not a bad strat. You don't have to take out these guards, but just makes the path a little easier. So checkpoint coming up. It'll be the last like 30 seconds, the last minute or so of this level. And here, if the AI will allow me, I'm going to ignore most of them after this opening segment. Oh, she stopped. It's not good. Okay, she should be moving again. So, me running into Leon kind of set off a storm of unintended consequences. So now I gotta kind of play a little defensive here. But I should be okay. The AI is not that smart, so and they're fairly easy to counteract in these kinds of crazed situations. So, not a great level, and Fagin was his usual
Please.
obstinate self, but still was a pretty decent level. Now the opening to this level is going to have a pretty big impact on how the rest of this level goes.
Right.
And I got 2 PK-102s. Excellent. The PK-102 is really critical for some of these early portions, and for parts of the next level as well.
Erickson, move.
Who are you? What do you want?
I'll ask them.
So normally you're supposed to pick up that viral scanner so you can see where the viral carriers are. But since there's no RNG to their locations, it's no point in picking it up. You can just go on and tag them as needed. The game doesn't know the difference if you have it or you don't have it.
I found it. Check.
So basically, at this point in the story, Fagin and Romer's men are killing each other and causing all sorts of havoc. And the best course of action for Gabe in this level is to avoid direct firefights whenever possible, because they're going to be paying more attention to each other. Almost got hit from behind. But those grenades are going to come in handy later on in this level in 2 spots. Got a couple. The explosion. Normally the guards will leave you alone if you're kicking a door open. Okay, that does work. I think I've been tinkering with that idea. It's like when you roll through that opening in the floor, if you roll as you're going off the edge, you can just land on the ground and continue moving without losing your momentum. Generally, when you hit the ground, you kind of have to escape stops for a second to sort of gather his bearings. Okay. They set off the fuel tanks, that's good. Saves me from having to deal with these guards directly. So now I'm going to use a grenade up ahead here to help me shimmy across this fence. It's going to distract these guards. Got 2 of them. So when that one comes back, Romer's men, the ones in the blue, are going to start shoot. Well, apparently not. They're just going to stay. Okay, there comes one. There they come. So they're going to get into a firefight with each other, and I can just slide through. Ooh, that was close. Almost lost about 30 seconds there, going off the edge. I'm going to take the safe path and go around. Take the long way around. No guard. Now this grenade up ahead here is my one major contribution to speedrun strats, I think, for this game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a grenade in the corner here. It's going to negate the enemy guards that are going to appear from their spawn point. There'd be 3 of them, all of them with flak jackets, and all of them, and one of them armed with grenades. Much better to just throw the grenade into the corner and, you know, then just take care of your objectives. 'Cause they'll be wiped out in one blast, and you can go on through. Got something stuck in my teeth there. Okay. So this next section is a little random. There's going to be 2 of Fagin's men, the ones in the white, coming around this corner to deal with some of Romer's men. However, how many I have to deal with is somewhat random. This is always 2. On the other side of these fuel barrels, it looks like it's 3. Yep, it's 3. And all of them have flak jackets. Okay. Played a little safe there. If it were, say, 3, if it were 1 or 2 guards, if it was 1, I would have just run right past them. But since that wasn't the case, I decided to just play it safe and just slide through.
Leon, I found shipping manifests for parts having... Leon, any luck? Check.
So, the reason I call this level my thing Full Metal Flak Jacket is from this point on, every guard will be wearing a flak jacket. So, if you haven't mastered the headshot by now, you're in a lot of trouble. There's really no other way to say it. This level is basically a rerun of the first warehouse level. Take out, plant viral carrier tags in the viral carriers. That was unfortunate. I was hoping to not have to alert the guards early, but that's fine. There's only two of them, one with a shotgun and one with the gun I'm about to pick up from this crate here, the Biz 2, which is the second best gun in the game. It is extremely powerful and has a 66 round magazine. So basically you can just run and shoot through the next portion of this. Did not get the pattern I was hoping for with the guard on the fence. I was hoping he would be there so I could just take him out now instead of having to deal with him later. It's not a deal breaker if I have to do it that way. That's generally the more common way anyways. But if you can get him to appear, it really saves a lot of time and trouble. Okay, so he's going to appear. He throws grenades, which doesn't help matters. So I'm going to wait for a second. There's one, sometimes two, fortunately, come on, stop. There. That hitbox for playing that last viral carrier is really weird, sometimes. So the rest of this is just me running through the tunnels. Here, I'm going to ignore the guard coming up ahead, and I'm going to do a little slide past these guys, and then take out this guy here. Get behind the box before I get cut to pieces. Okay, I'm fine. Him crouching and rolling like that's unusual. He doesn't usually do that. There's two guards up ahead. They're down, and that's the end of the level, basically. Warehouse 76 is up ahead.
Gabe, that's Warehouse 76. The entrance to the silo is in there somewhere.
So Warehouse 76 is a pretty short level, and it has two fire skips. Which is why I switched over to the PK-102 for this section up ahead. Because Biz is a one-handed gun. So good fire skip there. Only took lost about 2/3 of my armor. Vest is losing only half. Another guy catches on fire and I ignore him. Kind of a safety stretch is taking care of that guy. I just don't want to deal with any potential complications. Past these guys. Go into the warehouse itself. There's going to be one guard and then... Okay, if I had taken any damage, I probably would have taken the long way. And there's the fucking fire skip. So I played a little safe there.
Still no contact. We're finally starting to attract some attention, though. The Kazakhstan government is mobilizing ground forces and is asking Russia for help. They think a civil war is breaking out here.
I'll hurry.
So down to the home stretch. 3 to go. Looks like I'm about on pace for about a 115. It's not bad.
Watch out down there, Gabe. The place will be...
Right.
So this first part here, I'm just going to slide past these guards again. A little conflict avoidance, although it didn't go that well as they were ready for me. Uh-oh, that's not good. Yeah, that was just bad. That's unfortunate. Normally, I don't nearly take nearly that much damage from Romer's men. See, that's much better. I tried to use the targeting system on those guys. It accidentally swung me around in the opposite direction. So that's the Mara skip, where I just climb on the edge of that platform and then just roll through, and then just roll on through. If I get stopped, Leon mentions Mara giving some advice about those lasers, which essentially sets up the objective for this level, which is to turn off the power to the lasers, which involves a somewhat involved and circuitous route through this place. This level by itself is not especially difficult, but the problem is there's only one checkpoint. So any death you incur is likely going to be very costly. Mine earlier was unfortunate, but it was about a 25-second time loss.
Leon, is there a power schematic for this?
So coming up ahead in a minute is another, not really a sequence break, but it's a nice little skip that JY found first and put it to good use. And it's definitely worth trying out because here's the auxiliary power to the elevators. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll off this ledge and go into a little cavern, which will allow me to avoid a somewhat protracted battle with these guards, and barely got it, but a little late. I was a little early on my roll, but I got away with it. I'm actually going to use a K3G4 here. Usually save that for the next level, but that's fine. There's plenty of places for me to make up for that. So basically, it's down to the home stretch here. It's three sets of 3 guards. The second set is really the only one that can be really weird with its AI patterns. If I get this first shot, it should be fine. Okay. And since they're all wearing flak jackets, I'm going for headshots. It doesn't really matter what kind of damage I take. The third set of guards are a little random in how they approach you, because they're the ones protecting the power room. They can either come running, or they could be crouching, or doing a combination of both. Crouching is the most common, but it shouldn't be too difficult to get around them. You can't. Well, you could go around. Actually, I'm gonna just take them on straight. Take them on straight on, but you could try and go around them, but you run the risk of taking some serious damage, and you really need to be at full health for the start of the next level. So they're down.
I've made it into the power room. I'm going to try to overload the generator.
Be careful. I'm not
Now, unfortunately, you cannot do an interaction skip with these control panels. You just have
I don't have
to
much choice.
deal with it. They're not going to stop me from trying, but I know it's futile. So coming up is the final fire skip of the game. And it's about a 10-second save overall.
Are you there? Gabe, are you all
And
right?
this is again where the PK using a two-handed gun comes in handy. So roll, land on the pillar. Took a little bit of damage because of because my roll was pretty strong, but it worked fine. That second guard is the really dangerous one because he's got a biz too. The rest of these guards I can just run and gun. Well, took a little bit of damage there, but I'll get it back as there's two guards up ahead. Now, this level's kind of gets some flack because it's mostly dark, and you're supposed to have the night vision rifle, which is useful, no question. But the nice thing again, the guards are not going to be in random locations. There's only one instance of randomness with these guards, and it's at the end. But that guard, it really doesn't matter. I'm gonna just shoot. You can slip around him, but if you make one false move climbing up up this busted elevator, you're dead because again, Biz 2. They're down. So I've been working on this. There are 6 guards that appear in this final corridor, but it could be as many as there could be a 7th that appears just at the very last second. And I think it has to do because of how noisy you are. So I'm just using single shots on these guys. So they're down, and that's the end of the level. So that was a pretty good level overall.
Leon, I found the elevator down to the silo. See,
So the silo is again kind of broken into 2 chunks. The first is to get the firing codes
Leon,
for
think this
this
is
nuclear
right.
missile here, the R9 Devyatka. I'm going to actually let this guy throw a grenade, and then I'm going to shoot him. The hope is that he'll actually wipe out one of the guards on the lower level. I don't think he did, but it's time save if he did. No, he did. Good. Still got to deal with this guy. And at this point we learned that Gabe's boss was involved with the terrorists the whole time. So, slide into the missile silo. So yeah, getting that first guard to take out the grenade, the other guard with the grenade, saves about 4 seconds because it's just less time you have to deal, shooting these guys. So now the rest of this level is going straight to the finish and saving the world from nuclear annihilation.
Gabe, I'm intercepting frantic calls from NATO command. They're tracking the missile's launch.
So I took out that first guard. I'm going to ignore this second guard here.
Don't get to the detonator on level 2 in time. We're looking at World War III.
So now I have to get a key card from a scientist. It's not that one. It's this one. God. Yeah, I'm going to play it safe. I'm already taking serious damage. Forgot to switch weapons. That was my mistake. Should have gone to the K. Forgot to switch to the K3G4. But it's fine. There's only 3 more guards I have to take down from here. I got plenty of ammo for that. gas grenades. I'm going to throw it in a specific spot, so as soon as this cutscene ends,
I made
Wilmer runs right into it. So that's time. That's 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 30 seconds. Overall, not bad. I made a couple of sloppy mistakes here and there, but overall, nothing
What now?
too
First,
egregious,
the lab guy started on
and
this disc
overall I
and
thought
your
that went
vaccine.
very well.
No,
So
all of this. What's happened
so
here?
that is my
Parkinson's
speed
involvement
run
with
for
Fabian, Romer,
Syphon
their
Filter for
plans, the
SGDQ
virus?
2018.
What's
I
no
hope
mean? I
you
don't
enjoyed
know.
it, and I hope you
With
will
Markinson
consider
dead,
this
I don't know
game.
if we'll ever know.
To my surprise, Syphon Filter has never been run at an SGDQ or AGDQ, and I think this little sleeper hit from the PlayStation days would make a fine addition to the gaming lineup. So I hope you accept this, and either way, I hope to see you all there in June for SGDQ in Minnesota. Thank you.